I use Doug De Niro's voice? Would that qualify as fair use? I don't know. I might try it. If not, there will be another copy somewhere else. So, this is the topic of today's video. This is part of the topic. And also this. I'm going to tie this into it as well. So, this is a facial covering. And I started wearing that for about a week before the mask mandate went into effect. It was about that time where people were starting to be told that you should wear a facial covering in public to prevent the spread of COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, to prevent the pandemic from getting a lot worse. The mask mandate, as you all are aware, is not something people are universally doing. It's not advice people are taking everywhere, like wearing a seatbelt or not drinking beer in the morning, that sort of thing. So this is supposed to prevent saliva and mucus from being projected outward. So that is supposed to prevent the virus from spreading, and it would if everyone did that. So the problem is not everyone is doing that. We currently have a patchwork of laws, and as I am recording this, Texas has decided to, because we have because vaccines are available, we should just stop wearing masks in public anymore. And that's not an idea I'm on board with at all. He just skips straight to the end, He didn't even wait for all the vaccines to be made up. He didn't wait for herd immunity. He just skipped straight to, we have no laws to prevent the spread of the virus anymore. And because of that, there are all these businesses that are saying, we still are going to have the policy. We're still going to do what we can to enforce it. Here in Minnesota, the mask mandate has been around since April. And where I live, in a Minneapolis suburb, it's just a habit people have gotten used to, and people are used to seeing that. By the way, do I have this upside down? Which brings me to my second point. I don't have it upside down. Restaurants. See what I just did there? I took the mask off. I took the mask off so I could drink this single can of carbonated wine. I think that's also called champagne, but it's carbonated wine. I got it at Target Liquor because I can't go to any big box store and buy alcohol because we have really dumb liquor laws. Anyway, this brings me to my second point. When you are going to a bar or restaurant, you need to put the mask on until you're past the host, and only take it off as you are about to take the first drink. Put it back on when you're going to go to the restroom. Does this do much of anything? I don't really know. I will say that earlier in the summer of 2020, there was a big surge of COVID cases, and it got really bad in the upper Midwest. Then Minnesota shut down restaurants and other non-essential businesses for a while. Then they came back online. I would argue sooner than they should have, but that's what happened. And every state reopened sooner than it should have. Indeed, if I were to plan the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, I would have pumped out as many N95s as possible. Just said, here, do this only a few months, then we're good. But that didn't happen because we didn't have anyone smart enough who was in charge of the government to actually figure that one out. So, house wine? I don't even know what that is. So that is how things played out. And then summer, because people were still wearing masks, reluctantly in the heat, and because the stadiums weren't open, and for all of those reasons, Minnesota's iron wall caused Minnesota and all the states around it to have cases and deaths plummet until the holiday period when people started getting back together again. Then it spiked again, and same thing. Minnesota shut down restaurants. All the states surrounding Minnesota didn't, but the whole region benefited from that because when you have this big gaping hole where the virus can't easily spread, there's going to be some impact on the states around this big gaping hole for the virus. So for a while, restaurants were shut down, and then they came back. This time it was more appropriate. Now, I could get into the finer details about how shutting down the restaurants and bringing them back online was kind of bungled, how there was 1 week or so of dining outside in the summer and in the winter of, I forget when restaurants reopened, but yeah. So why are people freaking out about wearing masks? Despite all the evidence that says they help, some of that's confusion. They haven't been getting the information that they need. If there were a bunch of articles and headlines describing how well wearing a mask, even just something like this, not even an N95, they just emphasized how much these masks prevent the spread of SARS-CoV-2, most people would have just went with that. But even you, who definitely thinks everyone should be wearing a facial covering, are actually part of the problem. You didn't really spend too much time on the facts. You instead filmed the Karens throwing a tantrum, and you called them stupid, which, when you call somebody stupid, that makes you want to defend. Or that makes stupid people want to defend their stupid. Like, I probably shouldn't be drinking this at all while I'm on antidepressants, but the people that call me stupid for doing that, or just overspending in general, that's a problem I have. But I keep doing it because it's an act of spite to keep doing stupid things. See, when people are emotional about something and things are bad, the last thing they want to listen to is logic and reason from somebody. It won't work for you. Like, if your bank account went to zero despite how hard you did getting it as high as you did, or if your debt doubled or something like that for no reason and the banks just tried to give a logical explanation, you're going to freak out. And it's kind of the same way with the anti-maskers. Now, the part where the anti-maskers get it wrong is they did research on facial coverings in public with the conclusion first. They had the thing they wanted to do, which is to not wear a mask at all ever, and they looked for information that confirmed a belief they already had. This is not how you use the internet. And I could go on and on and on about the anti-mask Karen trope, but that's not going to help with anything. If people just from the gate got like real numbers, like this prevents such and such percent of the spread of the virus, and that double masking is also helpful, here's how much more helpful it is. It's really hard to get those numbers about how effective masks are because the focus has been on the people who oppose wearing masks and belittling them and calling them stupid, when in reality, I do it because it's moral. Because I don't want to be responsible for killing anyone. And lucky for me, I did not get infected with the virus. I've already had the Moderna vaccines, and things are going to be fine for me and my family, which is mostly involved in healthcare. But the this sounds like a very both sides thing, but if you want to, how do I put this? I blame this. I blame my stupidity on something else. That's also part of it. The thing is, being told what to do and telling them that they're not doing it for themselves was really bad thing to say to a country that values individualism a lot. And people might come to Minnesota and be surprised how like 90% of people at where I work and even at the local Walgreens are like wearing face masks. They're just doing it because they expect people to do it. That's because Minnesota isn't very individualist. But most of the country is. You have varying degrees of it. You have the low end like Minnesota. You have the high end like, I could name red and blue states, like Texas and New York and Massachusetts. It's not left, right, red, blue, as you all make it out to be, but just telling everyone you need to wear a mask to prevent other people from dying, yeah, that's not a good message. And that's not a good thing to tell people. Like, I get it. I know that people who want to be moral, like me, would do that, but there are people who think that being immoral is moral. And how do you convince those people that wearing a mask is in their best interest? I mean, you could bring their friends and family into it, but people who are jumping on the internet, conclusion first, don't have that much friends and family to begin with. They are lacking in empathy because they never really get it. So they fall into this toxic black hole. And I really don't know the answer to that. I do know that if there were billboards that didn't show a guy with a head up his ass, but something like, here's how effective wearing a facial covering is. This is something you can Google. And making that easy to Google, that would have helped a lot. A lot of people are, they like using numbers. They like seeing numbers as a concept and to help convey emotion. They might not understand how to use numbers like a rocket scientist, but that's not really the point. Just showing people this works, telling people why it works, how it works, that's what's gotten lost in all of this. And that is how I feel about the facial coverings. And this is just a societal problem in the U.S., the messaging. You have countries that have done really well in handling this pandemic, and they did that because they got the message out quickly, efficiently. They were concise. They didn't point fingers at people. They didn't say, you're an idiot for not doing this. They gave reassurance to the people that were persevering and doing what a lot of them didn't really want to do, but that's the difference. When the U.S. government needs to say something, it gets lost and polarized really fast. And that's mostly on the government. There's not a centralized way to tell people anything unless there's a tornado or a nuclear missile. And there have been some mistakes with the emergency alert system too. But, we have to, the U.S. government needs to just have a way to send its message out that isn't just the ad council or, they need more of a platform to say things, and it doesn't right now. It could put commercials on TVs, it could do billboards, it could do posters and signs, and it could help businesses emphasize the point that masking helps, but instead all you're getting is wear a mask or we will shame you because you're not wearing a mask. So you are all responsible for all these anti-maskers running around. I am partially responsible too, but I'm trying to, I know what, I'm just seeing this big discrepancy with the U.S. when it comes to handling the situation. And this is not just with the virus, it's with everything else. And I am, I do think the government should be able to say things. The real debate is how it responds to how people are responding to what it's saying, the attitudes, what could be law and what couldn't. And that's why we have a society where you can call your representative and they might actually listen now. So, wear a mask in public. I've been doing this. I will be doing this until they tell me to stop. One mask. And for the past 2-3 weeks, it was double masking. I'm only really going to do that at work now. If I'm anywhere else, I'm just in public for a short period of time, one mask, but at work it's going to be two. Just as a symbolic gesture, just to say, I care about your health and well-being as a customer. And, this is a Minnesota perspective. This is a suburb of Minneapolis perspective. Almost everyone is wearing a facial covering in the store I work at. And it's so high of a percentage that, someone in Wisconsin might be shocked, or Iowa especially, they would be shocked to know just how many customers would just go and not make a fuss about it. I mean, there's some older people who don't like seeing faces and smiling. For me, recognizing people's faces just stops here because I also card people for age-restricted items. That's something I have to do. And the biggest giveaway to somebody's age is what their hair looks like, and more importantly, how many wrinkles they have under their eyes, which is why I bought eye serum. So, and it's such a high percentage of people that do that. When I see the one guy that doesn't, I know they're not really setting any kind of precedent, and I know they're doing it for attention, and I just don't give it to them. I know other businesses live in different areas that have to have more of a heavy hand, but I think it would help to tell people and just tell them not just why, but how well masking up in public works, which is why I'm going to put links in the video explaining that, to bring that to the surface, because if you Google that, it's really hard to do digging. And unfortunately, that's on the government, that's on you, that's on the media. And these are things that need to be fixed. That's the Minnesota perspective about mandating wearing a mask in public, and a little bit about closures, which everything is open now, and we have stadiums that are trying to figure out how to reopen. Things are getting better here. I mean, I look at the U.S. numbers and I compare it to Minnesota. The virus is, just because we're not as individualist about things, the virus has, not since the last restaurant shut down, it's just been on the death number has just been on a very steep decline. And I know the rest of the country has deaths going down, but cases are also going down here faster than the U.S. as a whole. But, this isn't the type. I have pride in my state, but it's more of an additive pride. I don't want Minnesota to be the only state that does good things. I want other states in the whole country to do their best when things get bad, and to do their best to make things better. So that is the Minnesota perspective on mask mandates and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.